Anthony brought up a really good observation. Eric Way, as somebody who is so good, very clearly, at so many complicated things, what do you actually suck at?
So many things. I've since realized the secret of life, it's min-maxing. You find your strengths, you double down on them, and you put yourself in as many situations where you gotta show off your strengths and hide your weaknesses.
Okay. How do you even find what your strength is? Okay, well, keep talking, because I'm just...
No, I think that's important. I think that's important because...
I still don't know what my strengths are.
I think the stuff that you find easier to do than other people that you actually enjoy.
Yeah.
But for me, a lot of the stuff I'm not good at, for example, I am terrible at organization. I am really bad at staying chill and calm at tense moments. I'm not good at just like getting into the nitty-gritty tactical stuff. I used to grow up thinking from my parents, like, you gotta work hard on that stuff. It's like, you know, I don't like math, I don't like science. Cool, let me go be pre-med in school. Work in finance. Instead of all the stuff I was good at, which was like debate and reading and media. It's like, oh, that stuff, you can't get a job. Great example, when I was at Harvard, I got a C- in my Introduction to Computer Science course. So I just didn't really like it. And I also turned in my final project late because I was really depressed and I wasn't working well and I didn't send it on time.
Oh.
Next semester, I took a psychology course. I got the highest grade in the entire group. I think on one of the first exams, I got 100. I got perfect out of perfect.
Wow.
I took a history course, actually with Larry Summers. And I got one of the highest scores on one of the exams there. And it wasn't hard for me. And so that's when I was like, instead of like trying to do all this shit I'm not good at, what if I just double down on things I like, which is learning, talking with people, that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, for instance, we just came back from Mexico City because my company, we did an offsite there. And my co-founder, my co-CEO, Will, he fucking crushed it and he led it. Because that sort of stuff, it's about a big group of people and it's coordinating through 6-7 days of activities. I can't do that. I just get way too tired. But when we're doing the podcast, I asked if he wanted to join. I'm here because I enjoy it so much more. So I think the secret in life is just find ways to hide the shit you're bad at.
Wow.
You just called it min-maxing?
Yeah.
I never heard that term before, even though like I totally understand that philosophy.
You're like maximizing your mids.
It's from video games. When you're making a character, you usually have like 20 points.
Yeah, you
and you can
allocate.
choose. Exactly.
Yeah.
Allocate toward like strength, charisma, intelligence. And you know, one way is 5 points in everything. Medium strong, medium charismatic.
It's medium all the way across.
And now I've since realized, no. Like, put all those 20 points into one thing.
Yeah. All dexterity.
Yeah, all dexterity. Or like all strength. And then find friends who also min-maxed and dumped all their points.
Yeah.
So if I can put 20 points into strength and I have 0 in everything else, you can have 20 points in charisma and do the talking for me.
Yeah, now your unit's unstoppable.
Yeah, then as a group, as a team, you're good.
Yeah.
Like literally from an economic perspective, we evolved as a civilization when we changed from I am a self-sufficient hunter-gatherer who needs to do everything to I can specialize and trade with other people who are good at shit that I'm not good at. And I think from a personality POV, that's the same for me. When I took the personality test, I don't know if you guys have heard of Big Five, the Ocean Personality Test. So you've probably heard of like Myers-Briggs, right? This INTPJ shit. That test is not scientific. It was invented by 2 people with no scientific training whatsoever after Carl Jung's theories, many of which have been disproven. This other test, scientifically rigorous, it measures your traits across these 5 things that spell out ocean. O is for openness, C is for conscientiousness, how careful you are, E is for extroversion, A is for agreeableness, and N is for neuroticism. So when I look at my scores, my openness is off the charts. Like when you guys asked me to come on, when Bart, you texted me, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm down. Because I love doing this shit. I love meeting people. I love trying new things. My conscientiousness, like I said, it's very, very low. Even when I was flying back from Mexico City, I missed my first flight because I'm a dumbass. And I hadn't kept in time when I need to ride
Because
with
of
the
organization.
airport. Exactly.
Okay.
Conscientiousness, kind of like dotting your I's and crossing your T's in life.
Like how organized, are you always on time, are you coordinating other people? I'm really not good at that stuff, and my co-founder is much more so. E is for extroversion, I'm more extroverted than my co-founder. You know, in different contexts, different personalities come out. But generally, I love spending time with people and I love hanging with you guys. And then after I go home, I'll just be like, all right, I'm good. I'm gonna be alone. And when I burn out in energy, I'm like dead. It's like, don't talk to me. I'll be very, very cranky. A is for agreeableness, like how agreeable you are, like how nice of a person you are. I used to be super disagreeable, just like a huge prick. Over time, I feel like basically evened out to average. But there are people like my girlfriend, she's way higher than I am on the agreeableness thing, but I need that. You know, so one of us has got to be like the really nice, kind person. And the N is for neuroticism. You know, every single one of these traits, usually scientists will say, if it's high, good things can come out of it. If it's low, good things can come out of it too. Like openness, you might think it's universally good to be high on that. Actually, no. If you're really high, maybe you're too open to just changing at the drop of a hat. There are people who are
They're too down for everything.
Exactly. There are people you respect because they are who they are and that's not going to change. However, the exception is neuroticism. Studies generally indicate it is always better to be lower in neuroticism and anxiety. I rank medium high. So, thank you, science. But the way I figured out how to make use of it, I'm never gonna get myself to a place where I'm just perfectly an even keel and stable. Now, I like to think of my life as a dynamic equilibrium. There are ups, there are downs. And when there are ups, that's when I go and try and do things. Make content, think through business strategy, meet friends. And when it's down, that's when I try and not hang out with people and be by myself because I'm going through it. And you know, therapy helps. But I've realized it's never gonna change. I should just lean into when I'm feeling passionate and excited. Just ride it.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's a great, thorough way of explaining all that. I've never heard it that way. That's really cool.
I think a lot about it. That's another thing that comes to high neuroticism.
Right.
Analysis and anxiety.
Yeah.
But that's a great trait to have because sometimes I wish I had that.
Neuroticism?
Well, because like when I catch on an idea, my optimism is so high that I'm blind to all of the faults. And I feel like everything possible that can go wrong, that's just negative thinking.
Okay.
So I'm like, it's like being a pastor who's just like believing that, you know, you have this super
Absolutes.
and then you just go there and then later you go, oh my God, that was so risky. But I see all of my friends who are investors that are higher in neuroticism, they're always paranoid. They have a moat around, there's no way they're gonna fail. And they oftentimes get into the best of situations, whereas I'm in the opposite. I get into the worst of situations, and it's not till I'm too late where I'm like, consequences, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
So then I'm like, I see the neuroticism in the over analyzing and the extra carefulness and the fear, and I'm like, fuck, if I had a little bit of that, then I think I would balance out more to where maybe I wouldn't be so excited to do crazier things.
Yeah. At least that's where it balances out. If you're a good problem solver, then it does make up somewhat for not being, like, you know,
The
neurotically
flexibility
harsh.
makes up for,
When those disasters happen,
pivot.
at least you can tackle them. And you're not like, you know.
But then when you're in the situation and you're having a heart attack, you're like, see, this is why you gotta be safer, man. What the fuck?
Right. And how did you...
Though, if you hit a home run on whatever it is that you're going for,
And those home runs can last a long time,
So
man.
that-
Glory hits different.
So like even for like you two, I mean you guys have worked together fucking forever.
Forever.
What do you feel like are the different roles you've taken on? Because I'll share with my co-founder, we do co-founder therapy. We've had to figure out, we were friends, but now we're
Co-founder
business
therapy.
partners. And that is different.
Yeah. We were actually talking about last night that we're like, dude, we're actually complete opposite.
You're like, I don't even fucking like you.
You know what's funny? We did take we took the Myers-Briggs, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like a ENTJ or ENTP, and he's a INTP or INTJ.
Yeah.
So I'm just the extroverted version. He's the introverted version. But I mean, if that's all, you know, stupid ass, it's been disproven.
No, I mean,
It's kind of
it's
both
still
idiots.
a helpful proxy because it's a language where you can talk about yourselves.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the compromise that we've made to where it's like, yeah, he likes routine.
I love routine.
Structure, predictability. I love a lot of variance and novelty.
Yeah.
To the point where, yeah, it's good because we blend the two together.
Yeah.
Where he might maybe create the tracks and then I'll just create the train that goes on the tracks or whatever, you know? So
You need both.
yeah. And I'm really fortunate for the business like partnership because I really don't think that I would be able to stay on track if it wasn't for his discipline to create a system of, hey, every Sunday we're gonna create a skit. And now with the parameters, now I can go and like go wild. But then I also be able to, I guess, think macro enough where like I'm like, hey Bart, we should actually do this. That's way out off of left field, but he's like, okay, let's try it. Like it's off what we projected to do, but let's try it. Yeah.
Wow, I have that same relationship with my co-founder. There have been times where I'm like so excited, let's go fucking do it. So a great example, we launched a service that did taxes for creators. And I'm so gung-ho, let's go and do it. It's gonna be great. Everyone needs help on this. And you know, this is a case where I think I would have benefited more from where my co-founder thinks, where he's like, you need to build out the systems and scale before you can just launch something. We actually had more demand than we could supply. So we had people being like, hey, I want to sign up, it's not ready, or I'm signing up, like they're not responding because there were just too many. And I've noticed that my co-founder, sometimes there'll be times where I'm like, we need to move faster. We got to go do this. And he's like, well, let's take a little bit longer. But it changes. Sometimes he's the one pushing and I'm the one that's scared. Sometimes it's the other way.
Yeah.
I will say though, I'm also fascinated because you guys have worked together for so long. I once had a discussion with my co-founder and it's like, hey man, like we're still best friends, right? He's like, we've argued with each other so much at this point. And he was like, you know, I'm not sure if we're friends.
What?
And I was like, I felt really hurt, but then
What does he mean by that though?
he said,
His lover?
hey, we do co-founder therapy. We've slept in the same bed before. Now, come on, we had a barrier of pillows in between us back in the early days.
Do it again.
But the pillows had dents in them.
The therapist's like, take the pillows out next time.
What do you mean by that?
When you started, you sleep in the same bed. It's chill. It's cool. And he said, well, my sister, I don't know if she's my friend, but she's my sister. I was like, oh. He's like, you're my co-founder. There's a very deep and special relationship there. Where like, in a way with friends, like, presumably if you're friends, you hang out with each other because you generally always get along and you like each other.
Right.
You're not necessarily always gonna have that in a business partnership. Maybe, not that I would know, in a marriage. You might not always like them, but in a marriage you love them.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that makes sense. We might not be friends in the same way we were when we met. We're just fucking around.
Yeah.
But we're tied together and we respect each other and there's a very deep bond there that keeps us
Right.
going.
That's sick. And then at what point was he like,
Well, we were already doing that. That didn't change.
The physical stuff is.
Of course.
sick?
It's evolved beyond friendship to it's like my wife says like when I see you guys hang out, it's like at this point it's not like it's just visiting relatives. Like there's like a deeper like you guys aren't gonna split. Like why would you? Or for any reason, like there's things beyond business. There's history, there's rapport, there's loyalty. It's one of those things where, hey, Bart, I have a body in my living room. I'll be over.
What's the biggest fight you guys have had?
I don't know, man. I don't think we've ever had a fight that was personal.
I kind of believe it though.
I remember we fought though a lot on what we thought was better for the business.
Yeah, totally. Same with Michael.
Yeah, and it's never been like
But they're still
jealousy
not. They're still not
or-
crazy though.
Yeah.
Like,
no, we raise our voices, but it's not crazy. And I think it's because we never really made it about us and our ego.
Yeah.
Maybe the ego spilled onto like creative differences because you think your idea might be better. But it was never personal attacks and jealousy, insecurity. Like I see other friendships break down from like, you motherfucker have all the limelight and I don't. Like, I think we both are more like, oh, you win, I win. I win, you win. You know? You get these people now, I'm gonna benefit from that. You might make more right now, I'm gonna benefit. Like, so we always had that mentality to where I see so many other groups where they're arguing over who has more camera time. And I'm like, you're fighting so much internally that there's actually enemies outside that's taking over and outbeating you because you guys are so stupid infighting. And I'm glad we never had that.
Yeah, even when we got booked for In Living Color when they're bringing it back, this was like a while ago. And at that time, traditional TV didn't really understand the social media space. So they're like, in the contract, it was like guaranteed, I think like 13 episodes or something. It was like 30 G's per episode. It was a fuck ton for someone at our time. Where like
Per person, and they were gonna hire both of us.
yeah, for a time where like I think our YouTube channel is only making like $6-7 grand a month.
Yeah.
And we're paying us and like 5 other people. So 30 G's for 13 episodes seemed like a crazy amount, but they wanted to shut down the YouTube channel. And when we brainstormed, and they wanted both of us, when we brainstormed, we even brainstormed what if one of us just stayed on the YouTube channel and the other one does a TV show. So we kind of maximize both, but the whole pot goes back to the same pot. So like from the get-go has always been about the team.
Yeah.
And it's never been like, oh, who's gonna be the fucking superstar or whatever. And we ended up being that the contract said like, we can't do that at all. So we didn't. But like when in our brainstorm process, it's always been team or almost like family matters first, and then how do we collectively build this pot, and then we'll figure out how we distribute the pot later, but the pot is like unified.
I love that. I trust Will with everything. And it's the same, like, you know, even when we were texting, I was like, hey, actually my co-founder would be really great to bring on, because we're not just co-founders, we are co-CEOs. We are completely equal in everything. And so when we decide things, it has to be because we both agree, or, and this is something he's way better at than I am, you can also disagree and commit. There are times where you might not.
We're good at you.
Yeah.
We disagree and commit. We might disagree.
Yeah, I'll be like, I don't think so, but if you believe in this, let's fucking roll.
Exactly.
Going 100%, not dragging their feet or anything still.
Yeah, like Will's really good at that. For me, I actually struggle with that a lot because there's so much I worked through in my head where it's like, hey, like if you said we're gonna do this and we're doing it and it didn't work.
I told you so.
Yeah, and that is the worst mentality to have in a team POV because we don't know what's going to work or not. And it's crazy for me sometimes.
That's so true.
Will would be like, you know, go for something, I don't know it's gonna work, and I do it and it wouldn't work. And I would expect him to blame me, and he wouldn't. He would genuinely be like, it's okay, we learned. And it was such a change. I think growing up, I always got blamed if stuff went wrong, that I started to hate to make decisions of my own because I'd be like, if it doesn't go well, Will's gonna blame me. He never would. And that's why it's been a huge push for me to get better. To your point, you mentioned like when you hang out with each other, it's like hanging out with relatives. You know, I thought about this. Will, my co-founder, he is in fact my longest lasting relationship. I've dated like 5 women in the time that I have been with Will. It is always a test, right? It's like meet the family.
Yeah.
I will introduce them to Will before like I'll introduce him to my family, and that's like even like a bigger deal for me. It's like, does Will approve? Because sometimes he doesn't, and he's right because he knows me so well and he has that outside perspective.
And he's jealous.
Take him away from me.
I think hearing you say that you guys go to co-founder
Co-founder
therapy is
therapy.
the sickest thing.
Yeah, that's tight.
I didn't even know.
That's next level,
I didn't even know
dude.
anyone was
That's
offering
next
that.
level.
Yo, it is literally basically couples therapy, but you know, there's no sex because we're both straight guys. We're not interested in each other. Now.
What do you mean?
But it's
Things could change.
couples therapists who I swear to God were like, you know, I could charge double the rates if I charged startup companies instead of couples.
Smart.
It's all relationships.
So, no, it's all relationship.
And a medium for communication.
The
That's
way,
right,
the
right.
reason why I got interested in this, I remember reading, you can look it up, there's this New York Times article about the founders of Rap Genius. It's now just called Genius, right?
Yeah,
They do
yeah,
like
yeah.
the lyrics. And it talked about like that company fell apart partly because of the co-founders. Most companies actually fail because of co-founders. And it talked about how they started a co-founder therapy. And look, I just remember reading it and be like, oh, that's a cool concept because if you think about it, it's very intimate. People think you do therapy with someone if shit is going wrong. And yeah, sometimes, but often it's too late. The best time to do therapy is when things are doing well, and it can be an expression of saying, here's how much I care about a relationship, that I want to go do this and invest time. That could be like playing video games and watching Netflix. I'm gonna instead talk about my feelings with you, even when I'm mad at you. And so we started this very early before we had fights. And like, yeah, we had
Dang,
fights and
that's
stuff.
crazy to do.
You know?
Sick. That's good of a buy-in.
Exactly, but it's like a rule. Like we even right now we had a disagreement because Will did an amazing job at the Mexican City retreat, and I did not do a good job. This is on me because I was going through my own issues, and I know there's gonna be feedback for me. but we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something I have faith in.
Should we all go to therapy, you guys?
Fuck no, we're gonna go to Lionheart Jiu-Jitsu and choke each other out.
5-person therapy?
That's therapy,
Well,
right?
you know, there's a joke, right? Men do podcasts instead of going to therapy.
Yeah. The men do anything instead of going.
This is the most we've ever heard men talk though in this generation. Just guys just fucking letting
I don't like
out.
it. I think they should zip it up, dude. Just keep it quiet.
Fight it out.
Yeah, be stoic.
Cool.
Zip it up
Zip it up. Be
and
quiet.
zip it out.